Hey guys, today we're doing something a little bit different. We're taking a break from our Vendor 101 series as I'm working the Week in a Life episode that I promised last time. While I'm working on that, I did want to make sure I got a video out though. So today we are doing a tier list of the Scarlet and Violet era hits, most cards $40 and above basically from the SV era. And we're ranking them on a tier list based on their relative liquidity. So talking about how well they move for me at shows, what cards I really get excited to see when they come to my table and I'll buy multiple copies of, versus cards that kind of sit a little bit longer. If you guys like this type of content and you want to see me do it with other eras of Pokemon, or maybe specific types of cards or things like that, let me know. Drop a comment below what you would like to see next. And without further ado, let's jump into the tier list. Alright guys, we're into the tier list here. We're just going to go down in order that they're showing up here. So, just to show off, first the different tiers that we're looking at. Starting at the very bottom, this one's pretty self-explanatory, we got our bricks. This is stuff that is just really, really hard to move, does not move very well for you at all. Takes a lot of work to move. This is something that I would say takes 10 plus shows to sell, and you have to actively be seeking out a buyer to find. Takes some work to move. This one we're looking more like 5, 6, 7 shows to sell. And if you have the card there, eventually it will move, but it takes a little bit of work. It may sit for a little bit. Sells easy enough. This is one that typically in 1 to 3 shows I'm selling. I don't have to put a ton of effort in it. I know if I have it at the table, it's going to move. Won't survive the weekend. This is one that I know if I'm coming into a show with this card, it's going to sell and probably isn't going to make it to the end of the show. And then finally, our last tier is water. These are the most liquid. Within the first couple of hours of a show, these cards are gone. Got it? Let's dive in. So, I'm going to start off with some Prismatic. We got our Leafeon here. Leafeon I actually feel like is one of the most liquid of the Prismatic hits. They're not the easiest cards to move, usually, just because they're a little bit higher price point, and then the ones that are lower price point, people don't tend to love. But I found Leafeon is a really nice balance of a little bit higher price point, a little bit more premium, really great artwork. That one always sells well enough for me. So, sells easy enough is where we're going to be. Rocket's Mewtwo. This is one I've had twice. It doesn't sell same day for me, but usually within a couple of shows of me picking it up, it'll sell. Cynthia's Garchomp. This one is interesting. I've only ever owned this card one time. So, it sold super, super fast when I had it, but it also is one that people are not super willing to sell or trade to me, I've noticed. They don't give it up very often. So, I'm going to put this one in Won't Survive the Weekend. I think that's going to be a card, even though it's not the top chase card of the set, that's going to be very, very desirable going forward. Alright, next up, Enzorark. This card sells super well for me. It's not always same day, but it usually, if it lasts in between shows, it is one show, and then it'll sell. I think I've bought and sold this card 25 times or so. It cycles. It's at a great price point, super approachable, awesome art. People love N as a trainer, and so having him in there too, I think is great. So that's one that moves fairly easy for me. Alright, Paradox Rift Groudon. This one's kind of tough, even though it is a more approachable price point, and it's a popular Pokemon. I've had this card sit 5 to 8 shows at a time before. It doesn't move the easiest. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to put this in Take Some Work. I don't feel super, super confident when I get that in that it's going out the door in the next week or two. And on that same line of thinking, I'm actually going to throw this Raging Bolt on there too. It's great art. And it does end up selling. It's not something that will sit forever for me, but it's something that I have to second guess and think about a little bit when I take it in. All right, Scarlet and Violet base Gardevoir water. One of the most liquid cards that you can have at your table. This card, every single time I have it, sells immediately, and same for the other cards in that line. I think I get asked about the Kirlia from this line more often than maybe any other modern card that comes to my table. Every time I have it, it is gone instantly. People love this. It's a great price point, very approachable, good lineup for a binder for people who are doing binder theme pages, connecting arts, things like that. Buy this card every opportunity you can. Shinji Kanda Roaring Moon here from Prismatic. This one I feel pretty similar to the Raging Bolt. It maybe sells a little bit easier just because it's Shinji Kanda, but it will still sit a little bit for me. It's not one that is flying out the door when I get it in. Alright, 151 Blastoise. Typically won't survive the weekend. 151 hits sell super well for me. I'm not going to put this immediately in water, though that would be hilarious, I realize now. Mostly because we're getting to the point where a lot of people have their 151 hits now, right? I've noticed a little bit of a slowdown, even though prices are climbing back up, liquidity on them is moving back up a little bit. A lot of people have done their 151 collecting. So, just something to consider. All right, next, Cerulege. These three all fit in the same area. These Prismatic, next tier of hits. I think I'm going to put all of these and take some work. I think the Cerulege, actually, of all of them, sells the best for me, for whatever reason. Maybe that's just a coincidence, but I've moved it a little bit easier than the other two. But it still takes a little bit of work, usually 3 to 5 shows for that one to go. Charmander from 151. In my opinion, this is the easiest card to sell in the set. Every time I have it, it's gone within a couple of hours. That card does not last. People are always looking for the first starters. That one I've found to be the easiest to sell. All right, Gardevoir from Day and Fates. This one I think takes some work with the price shift has moved to recently on it, pushing that 115-ish window. I found that this sells actually less often. When this card was sitting closer to 60, 70, it sold a lot easier. I think it takes some work. It doesn't sell every single show. People will buy it for sure, but it's one that I think takes a little bit more time to move. Guitar from Paldea Evolved. That one moves easy enough for me. Usually when I get that card in, within a couple of shows it's gone. Really approachable price point, very popular Pokemon. Looks like Godzilla, kind of awesome. So that one, easy enough. Right, Charmeleon typically won't survive the weekend. Not quite as liquid as Charmander, but a much more approachable price point. Usually sits between $30 and $40. That one's a pretty easy one to sell. And we'll also put Wartortle right next to him. And a ditto everything I said about Charmeleon, right back to the Wartortle. Paldean Zard. This one, it's a very similar story to the Gardevoir. When it was under $200, it was much easier to sell. But it's catch back up. It's a little bit tougher. I would say takes some work. I've had this card twice. Both times it's got for 5 shows before I sell it or trade it out. So now we're going to put that one in. Takes some work. All right. This, I think, is going to be a little bit controversial. But of the 151 hits, this art is one of the hardest to sell. People don't love this art, man. It's significantly more expensive than everything else. This is what it is. An iconic card for sure, and the people that like it really like it. I'm going to bump this up a little bit. I may consider moving it up just because it's 151, but for now, I'm not selling a 151 Zard every show. You know what I mean? They can tend to sit a little bit in between shows. Raichu typically won't survive the weekend. Very desirable card, super cute. People love this one. Roaring Moon. So I've only had this card at my table once. It did sell same show, but I also don't get a lot of people coming and asking for it. It's not one that people are actively seeking out. I also don't get a ton of people that are trying to trade it away either. So the people that like it have it and they hang on to it. I think this one I'm going to put in to take some work, mostly because of desirability of the Pokemon. Art's not anything crazy. Price point's very approachable, but it's just one that I don't get asked about very often. Water, Bubble Mew, one of the easiest cards to sell at my table. Every single time I have one, it is gone almost instantly. Even it was up over $600. Bubble Mew remains to be, in my opinion, the iconic card of the generation. Will always be a very easy mover. Next up here, joining Bubble Mew on the water tier, got the Obsidian Flames promo. Didn't do all of the ETB promos, just some of the more iconic ones. There's a couple of other promos that we included in this tier list as well. That Charmander ETB promo, I can't buy enough of them. Whenever one comes to my table, I say yes to it. I will take it in on trade every time. It doesn't matter if I have 10 because I know that they will move. That's one that I like to hang on to. Have as many copies as I can. We're back with a little bit more 151 here. I'm going to put the Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is going above these other 151 hits, but it doesn't move as easy as a Charmander or Squirtle when we talk about that later. It's definitely, of the three, the least desired. The 151 still sells relatively easy. The Ivysaur, right in line with the other middle evolutions, so nothing too crazy there. But the Bulbasaur, for whatever reason, just doesn't move as easy as when I have Charmander or a Squirtle. Iron Crown. This one does not move very well. I think the art is gorgeous. I love this card personally. It doesn't sell, unfortunately. So I'm going to put that in takes a lot of work because I have sold it a couple of times, but it'll usually sit for a while for me. Around that same tier, we're also going to put the Raging Bolt Temporal Forces. The card is beautiful. I love the art on it. I think it's absolutely awesome. A lot of people are looking for the Paradox Pokemon, unfortunately. It just does not sell super well for me. All right, the spiritual continuation of this Obsidian promo up here is the Stellar Crown Bulbasaur. This one I find sells about the same level as Bulbasaur from 151. When I have them, they usually go fairly easy, but it's not like they're selling out in the first 2-3 hours of the show, every single show. All right, we're getting into our first BWR. We've got the Reshiram. This one, at least right now, this is kind of a theme for a lot of Black Bolt and White Flare cards that I don't have on this list even. It sells relatively easy. It's not like I'm putting a ton of work in to try and move it. I'm not posting it up between shows. It sells fine. I don't have a ton of people coming to my table asking for these all the time, right? All right, 151 Venusaur. This one, I'm going to put this one in sells easy enough. That may be a little bit controversial, but I found that the Blastoise sells a little bit easier than the Venusaur. It still moves. I'm going to say this 100 times this video. It's still 151, right? But it just, the Blastoise I found of the three starters is the one that sells the absolute easiest for me. Right. Got Surging Latias next. This card I didn't own for a very long time. And then out of nowhere, the last 3 shows, I've bought, sold. Then I guess rebought because I have one right now. I don't know if that's just because Surging is on right now. And it's where the market is. I think I'm going to put this in sells easy enough. It's done just fine for me recently that I feel confident in that. Prior to that, I probably would have bumped it down to take some work because it's one that I was not selling super often. All right, White Reshi SIR. This one I actually think is a little bit harder to sell than the BWR. I'm going to put that one in take some work. All right, Milotic is next. This one I think is easier to sell and moves a little bit quicker than the Lottie does. It's not, won't surprise the weekend. I'll bump it up middle of sells easy enough, and maybe we even need to think about having split of this tier. We'll think about it. Or kind of a split here, move some down, move a couple up, something like that. I think this one is right in line with the Reshiram, so we'll put them facing each other, screaming. All right, I'm going to have two controversial opinions on back-to-back cards here. Pikachu from Surging Sparks does not sell for me. I don't know what it is. It bricks every single time I have it. I end up having to trade it off as a lot to another vendor to roll it into something that I would rather have. Every single time this happens. I don't love this card. I think the art's great. I'm a big fan of Pikachu. I'm a big fan of Surging Sparks as a set. But as a vendor, this card gives me PTSD. And then continuing this line of disappointment, 151 Alakazam, I'm going to put in Brick. Here's why. Maybe it's just a unique scenario that I'm in. Anytime 151 illustration rares come up to my table, I will take them, right? I like having lots and lots of them. And so I was taking that approach with Alakazam, and then I went to do my inventory in like November. I was looking through my backstock, and I had 7 Alakazams. I was looking through my transaction logs, and I realized I hadn't sold an Alakazam in like 6 months, and I kept saying yes, and I kept buying them, and I kept buying them, and I didn't realize how many that I had compiled. That card, for whatever reason, try and price it super competitively to get it to move, and it just doesn't, man. It's kind of tough. Now, on the other side of that coin, the other non-starter line 151 card that I have here is the Zapdos. And the Zapdos cakes every weekend. That bad boy is selling. I love having that Zapdos. Even when it jumped up over $100, it was selling super, super easy. I really, really liked having that card. Right, Obsidian Charizard. This card is harder to sell than the Paldean Fates one. Even though it's a cheaper price point, similar arts, people just don't love this artwork. They would much prefer the more expensive Paldean one. But it takes a lot of work. I could post it up. It'll sell fine enough. I don't mind having the card at my table. I like having diversity. Having a Charizard at that price point is really nice. This one, it's pretty tough to move. So we're going to put it in. Takes a lot of work. Okay, Paldea Magikarp. This one sells easy enough. I don't typically have any issues with this. I'd put it right in this range. I think these two cards on either side of it, the Milotic and the Charizard from 151, makes perfect sense. They all sell about the same. Another similar card, similar price point, came out around the same time as all of these. I'm going to put the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. I think this artwork is gorgeous. And in a 10, this card actually sells very, very well. Even raw, I think these neighbors in that Milotic to Charizard range makes a ton of sense. All right, Victini BWR. This one I'm actually going to drop below the other two BWRs. And the reason being is you have two different Victinis. They're slightly more expensive than the other two BWRs. And in my opinion is less, how do I say this? It's less of an iconic artwork, right? I think it's cool. You know, there are definitely fans of Victini, but I think Zekrom and Reshiram look like much bigger presences and are cooler looking in their monochrome look. I think long term, because it's the only monochrome red card in the entire TCG, it's going to go down as iconic. But right now at shows, it's a little bit tougher to move than the other two BWRs. Right, Seismitoad from Black Bolt. Every time I've had this card, I have sold it very quickly. I don't know what it is. I think the art is not great. It's, in my opinion, one of the worst Shinji Kanda arts made. And maybe that's controversial. Maybe people won't love this. I don't know. Seismitoad has never been a Pokemon that has spoken to me. Maybe I'm a Gen 5 hater. I don't know. It's one that has never really been my cup of tea. And then on top of that, I think art is messy in a bad way, whereas a lot of other Shinji Kanda arts are like messy in a good way. So I don't love it. That being said, it sells super easy. Every time I have it, it's gone within a couple of hours, right around my asking price. I don't haggle. When people see this card, they want to buy it. Okay, Squirtle from Stellar Crown. This is another one. We're going to put it right next to its Charmander brother. It sells super easy for me. Every single show, it's gonna be going. Whenever I have it, this is another one that I say yes to at every single opportunity because people love this card. It is a beautiful artwork. It's very whimsical and fun. It's a great price point, even with it being pushing near its all-time highs. This card is about as ideal of a card you can get to sell as you can find. All right, Zekrom SIR. I'm actually same thing as the Reshiram, just on different tiers. We're going to put these two right next to each other. Takes a little bit of work, 3-4 shows, and it'll usually move for me. Flareon. Of the Prismatic Evolution SIRs, I think this one is the worst. I think the art is bad. I think it's messy. People don't really love this one. The hat looks bigger and sillier than it does on pretty much any of the other evolutions, and so I think that tracks from it as well. So we're going to put that one in Takes a Lot of Work. Iono's Belly Bolt, 40 bucks, easy peasy, easiest transaction you're going to have in any show. People say, give me that one, hand you 2 bills and walk away. It's great to have. I will buy this card every time it comes by. It sells every single time I take it in. Espeon is one that I think is on par with the Leafeon. I think they're on the same page. There's one other one that I think is in that same tier of the Evolution SIRs. I'll give you a hint, it's not the next one that's coming up that's going to be joining them as well. This Jolteon, I think everything that I said about the Flareon, same but different for the Jolteon. Work is a little bit more busy than some of the other evolutions. Looks a little bit sillier with the bigger fossilized crown. Just overall not people's favorites, right? Sylveon, I do think people like. Other than those two, less than Leafeon and Espeon. I think we're going to put it right in here with some of these other Prismatic non-evolution SIRs. It takes a little bit of work, but it still moves easy enough. Blaze Clefairy sells pretty easy. I like having this card. For being the top chase in a set, only being 120, 130 bucks right now, it is super approachable. So, we love that one. Next up here, Pops Zacian. Zacian? How do you guys say it? Correct me in the comments down below if you've made it nearly 25 minutes in or whatever we're at right now, 30 minutes in. How do you say legendary dog from Gen 8 that carries a sword? That one, along with the Zoroark, I think these two pair hand in hand. Very similar arts. Both have very popular Pokemon. Both have very popular trainers in them. Sell super easy. Typically does not survive the weekend. Alright, gonna get into one of my favorite promos ever. Shrouded Fable Greninja. That bad boy sells every single time I take it in, no matter what. I will buy 10 of these at any given opportunity. Know of everything I've said on this line already. I can't get enough of them. Anytime they're offered to me, I will take them. Salamence. Unfortunately, this one I have to bump down to sells easy enough. It used to be a Won't Survive the Weekend along with the other 2 Journey Together hits that I have there. But it's slowed down a little bit recently. I've noticed it's kind of stagnated. It's been around the same price point and isn't transacting as often. Still, a couple of shows I'm selling one, but something to be mindful of is it does feel like it's slowing down a little bit. All right, the Eevee SIR. I've had this card exactly once. I don't know what it is. The unevolved Eevee, people don't love. It's not their favorite. I don't know, and maybe it's because the colors are a little bit more pastel and muted and not as loud. That one, it just doesn't stand out, and so it kind of sits. All right, Ethan's Hello. This one and Lily's Clefairy actually are, I think, right at the hip. These two cards, it seems like if I sell one in a weekend, I'm going to sell both of them. So I like having those cards on hand. Usually transact easy enough. I like buying that card. I think it's beautiful art. You don't get a lot of Ho-Oh hits for the course of the TCG, and so having a really nice modern Ho-Oh card as a chase is great. We've got two back-to-back here that I think are very similar in terms of their liquidity and stuff like that. Rocket's Crobat, every weekend that I have it, as well as the Nidoking, every weekend that I have it. These things are selling. People love Destined Rivals. Filling in this little gap here, around $100, $60 to $100 for these hits. People love them. So I'm always happy to take them in. They always sell really well. They also, I've had a lot of luck grading both of these cards too. Print quality on all of the ones that I've seen have been really, really nice. So, and graded, they sell really well. All right, we're down to our last couple of evolutions here. You may have noticed I did bump back the Sunbreon, so we're going to finish on that one. With our Vaporeon here, unfortunately, these original evolutions all got kind of wrecked. They, for whatever reason, like did not get the due diligence on the art that some of these newer ones did. So we're gonna bump this one down. I've been sitting on a couple of Vaporeon for a while now, as my other hits from this set sell a little bit easier. For example, and third one that joins the Leafeon and the Espeon is going to be our Glaceon. I think the art on this one is really nice. The white and blue look great together. I think it is a little bit softer on the eyes and messy the Vaporeon is, and it sells super well. People are always looking for this Glaceon, and the Leafeon especially, I've noticed. All right, Rocket's Moltres, another one from the Destined Rivals that is going to join for the trio here. These three cards, and even looking at Moltres stamped promo, we'll lump that in here as well. All just like one after another, after another, after another. Whenever I get them in, they sell super, super easy. All right, I'm going to join the Greninja up here as one of the most liquid cards on the market. Shrouded Fable promo, Kingdra. It's just such a unique art. You don't get art like this usually. It's English exclusive too. This card never came out in Japan. So having that little bit of exclusivity as well. Beautiful traditional Japanese artwork there. It's about as perfect of a card for your table as you can ask for. Very consistently in the $60 to $70 range. It's approachable for almost anyone. It can bring in some good trades. It can be a part of trades for bigger cards that you have as well. People will be willing to throw it in as a nice kicker. It sells so easy. I cannot keep it in stock. In tens, in raw, it will just go. I can bring 5 to a show and I will sell all of them. And I think the last of the water tier is going to be our 151 Squirtle. Of the 151 cards, Squirtle, Charmander, those two sell the absolute easiest. I think everything else, as you can mix out into the 2 tiers underneath it. It's something about the art, man. How whimsical Squirtle is, playing on the beach. There's a lot of people that love water starters. It is very popular. Very similar tale of the Obsidian Charmander promo and the Stellar Crown Squirtle, where people like looking for them together. It's a no-brainer. I will say yes to as many Squirtles as people want to sell me. Masquerade Eevee. This one sells easy enough. I'm not seeing people like clamor for it. They're not dying for this card, right? But it's one that does just fine. Now for the big boy, the most expensive card from the Scarlet and Violet era, the Sunbreon. This is one that I've had a couple of times, and it has done fairly well for me. May be kind of surprised for how expensive the card is, but if you can get your hand on one, buy it. Because I have never walked into a show with a Sunbreon and then walked away with one. They sell so easily. People are clamoring for these top hits. If we end up doing this for Sword and Shield as well, you'll notice the same thing. Spoiler warning, I guess, for the people that made it to the end here. The same thing with the Moonbreon. Doesn't matter that that card is almost $2,000 now, or probably pushing $2,000 at this point. It sells. People want that card. It is a grail, a top chase for a reason, and people are willing to trade almost anything for it. They want to make it happen. So having these very high-end hits are surprisingly a little bit more liquid than you would think with some of these middle-of-the-road hits from the era.